And we're live. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Conscious Conversations. Today's topic is angels, aliens, and ascended masters. I think I inverted two of those words. That's okay. Happens sometimes when you communicate with beings from higher planes, anyways, as well as many other fun things that I'm sure we'll get into in this call. So, Shylo, I think you had something you wanted to go ahead and go straight into on aliens.
Well, I mean, there's like I said, in 2005 and six, I had certain things happen to me, caused me to awaken to it, and pretty much what I used to believe aliens were in the physical realm. What you see, the gray aliens and stuff. I used to really believe that it was a physical thing. They're both, but I've had more contact with extraterrestrials in the spiritual realm than I ever have in the physical realm. They visit me quite often in meditation, and it's them. You get the quintessential alien gray looking character show up often. Um, well, in my meditations, at least. Not are all nice, very nice. A lot of them are quite negative, actually. But I've seen all types of alien races in my meditations, and some that I saw in meditation I hadn't even known were like a thing, were actual races, like for instance the Andromedans and then a species of the reptilians I had no idea were real. I just thought it was my imagination. And then you get affirmations from people who are in on the same wavelength and who have experienced these same things, and it's just mind-boggling. So, um, my idea of extraterrestrials right now resides in the astral realms.
I really, really love that. I honestly would love to get into more of the meditation here in a second, but I wanted to ask Heather if you had anything to add.
Yeah, definitely. First of all, let me, does anybody know this symbol? Seen it before? Or
Well,
what do you think of it?
the X is a Norse rune called Gabo, which means gift. But a gift comes with a cost. There's always an implied sacrifice to go alongside the gift, or a return gift. And that's the lesson that rune teaches. But the square around it, I don't know. That could be a lot of things. So
Yeah. Well, I found out what it was, but Shylo, I'd want to know what you think of it.
I just, you gotta show it to me again there for a second. So it looks like an X in a box.
Think outside the X in the box.
I know, I get it.
Think outside the box.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not really. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yesterday, this random person online was asking about hypnotherapy, and I just had a session done, and I just finished making the video of my hypnotherapy session. And so I showed it to her, and it's about an hour and a half long. She sat through the whole thing, took notes, everything. And she showed me pictures of some little doodle box that she was drawing while she was listening. And one of them was that box with the X in it. And she showed that to me this morning. Last night, before I fell asleep, I was imagining a pyramid. And I was thinking in my head, how would this look? How would the pyramid look if I'm hovering over it? You get where I'm going at here? This is the top of a pyramid. And I was meditating on that. And like we were talking about before we were live, was how we didn't sleep that well. I don't even think it was sleep. But I was meditating on the pyramid, feeling this energy coming down, very powerful, very safe, secure, feel nice. And visions. I had visions of these 3 or 4 Arcturians, no doubt Arcturians, just around me, peacefully. I mean, I was a little upset I didn't have my normal dreaming sleep, REM sleep, but why complain when I got my Arcturians hovering over me, keeping me, calm and happy. It was nice.
Okay, so 2 things. Sorry if I can. The very first time someone attempted to hypnotize me, it didn't really work out the way I expected it to, but the first time it ever happened, the first place my mind went to was floating above a gigantic pyramid. Looking down, that was the first time. And then, the woman who was doing the hypnosis was asking me all these questions, and I'm like, no, never mind about that. Why am I above this huge pyramid? I kept bringing it back. I'm like, there's a goddamn pyramid. What is with this pyramid? And she's like, oh yeah, tell me more about it.
Are you there?
Remember the rest to say it's. Are you picking me up?
Yep, you're here. It glitched for a second, but you're back.
Okay. The second thing I wanted to say is the past 4 to 5 different travels that I've experienced in meditation, I have been surrounded by hooded figures, and it usually seems like 12, 8 to 12 of them in hoods with robes surrounding me, above me. And then in my last meditation, I became one of the hooded robed figures, and it was Demobius, the white lion, and they all took off their hoods, and there was a elephant man beside me with 4 arms. To the right of me, there was a warthog man, and then beside him was a guy that looked like a raptor from Jurassic Park. Beside him, a gecko-looking guy, and then in front of me, a younger-looking white lion, and beside him was the golden lioness, who I'm pretty sure is my soul flame, who doesn't exist in this realm. But I'd seen this group of hooded figures so many times before, and on my last meditation, I went there and I realized that it was in this silvery gray spaceship, and it was a council of them, and that I was part of the council, and they were all looking to me for answers. I mean, I can get really deep into that, but I would rather stop at that point to hear what everybody else has to say. I'm talking too much.
No, you're fine. I'm really happy to have you share all that, honestly. That's one of the things that I really wanted to do this show for, was to normalize talking about these subjects. It's great when we met each other through a group on Facebook. So for those of us seeking others like ourselves who had experiences, and what I want to do with this is open up the dialogue with the rest of the world to kind of raise the consciousness level on this subject, because the deal is that a lot of people call me crazy, for the things I talk about, and I there was a long time where I was concerned maybe I was crazy and maybe I wasn't actually having real experiences. Maybe it was all in my head, right?
Well, we are crazy. We are crazy. Sorry, it's good. We would prefer to be crazy.
Level of it, right? Because you can't be fitting inside that box, that societal cookie cutter, and be open to receiving this stuff.
Yeah.
And for me, it was exposure at well, I say that, but I died the day I was born, and I've had a variety of other experiences. So I think that I've always been walking down this path. I just wasn't always sure of my step. And one of the things that I feel called to do in this life is, I hear people talk about disclosure a lot, and to me that's more of the same thing I keep seeing crop up in every aspect of society, where we're seeking external validation. And that's just, it goes right alongside what you were mentioning there in the beginning about how you realize that there are physical extraterrestrials, but the majority that you interact with are going to be on the astral plane, or some such other descriptor term there. Whatever works. I like the astral plane personally, but some people like to call it the higher dimensions and all that jazz. And honestly, I don't think the label matters there. What matters is, can you find that space within yourself and go there?
Yeah, and that's what I love about Terence McKenna, because Terence McKenna talks about that exactly. That's where the ETs are, right? They exist there, and then that's the majesty of the brain, because you look at the brain and you look at the universe, and the circuitry is exactly the same. It's like, who's to say that the drugs, the psychoactive that we take, don't unlock those wormhole portals in our brains that bring us to these places? And like stuff like DMT specifically takes us there. DMT is, I'm not going to get into that. We already know DMT, acid, mushrooms, that type of stuff. Tools that are pretty much keys to opening up the gates to the places.
No, I lost you again, but you went exactly where I was going with that.
I have to say, wow, Shylo, you just hit a lot of points that I went through on my during my hypnotherapy session. Just right there, a lot of stuff about drugs and how they're portals. You could they're used to. It's kind of like a Kickstarter in a way. At least it was for me, for my spirituality. I was called to do these drugs, by my guides. They had to kind of kick me in and dive in with me. And it was just very, very powerful. But we don't need those drugs. We could just do it with our own bodies. We don't need that sort of thing. That was a big part of my learning experience, was that, no, yeah, you don't need these. You really don't. But this is what you can do. I took LSD and I saw into the fifth dimension. And my guide was there next to me and said, we made this drug for this reason, but you don't need it. They told me specifically, you don't need it. And that started everything for me. It definitely does, especially when a guide jumps in to your friend next to you and looks over at you and starts talking like, I'm not really your friend. Well, I'm your friend, but forget about this guy. I'm Jesus Christ, or, something like that. Getting a little off subject, because I'm still in that mode, that hypnotherapy mode of all that stuff I went through. And Shylo you keep saying things that I went over, so we're just definitely connected.
Man. Go ahead.
Oh, I was saying you're back. Did you want to finish that point about Terence McKenna and where you were going with that?
Yeah, Terence McKinnon. Just before, I just looked down. I'm at my mom's house right now. I had to fix her TV, and I'm looking down, and she's got all these books and stuff, and I just found this sitting there out of nowhere. Oh, and there's another one here. Hold on. What is this? What? Check that out.
That's awesome.
Seriously? That is so cool.
So yeah, that's just like in front of me here. It's like, hey, guess what? You're crazy. So anyways,
we're all crazy.
Yeah, so Terence McKenna, like the whole the thing about doing drugs or not, like there are certain keys that open up different gates. I go through so many when I do meditation, and for so many years, up until just last year, I never thought I could meditate because I've had tinnitus since I was like 5 or 6 from ear damage. So I wake up and I go to bed with a loud ringing in my ear. And when I was 12, it almost drove me to suicide because it just wouldn't go away. And I'm a 12-year-old kid, and we didn't have iPods or anything back then to listen to. It was Walkmans, and they were shit. But so I used that as an excuse to not meditate. I'm like, oh, no, there's no way I could do that. I'm hyperactive. I'm ADHD. I'm everything a doctor tells me I am in this realm, so I can't meditate. And then last year I started the meditations in the bath with the 432 hertz and the lavender and the blah and blah. And I have I have gone so much further in meditation than I have ever with any psychoactive drug I've ever done. I have done a lot of psychoactive drugs, and I've gone to a lot of places on those drugs.
Amen,
But
brother.
the places that I go to when I meditate are just, it makes more sense to me when I'm there, because when I go to these places on drugs, I have no idea.
You're crazy.
Yeah, I am crazy. I have no idea what it is that my mind is trying to tell me, because so many things happen, so many things flash in front of me. It's harder for my mind to make sense of these things. But when I go there in meditation, it's like all clear to me. It all makes sense. Like dream interpretation. I'm amazing at interpreting dreams because like these are the places that I go to when I meditate, right? And it's just like I have this natural instinct or natural talent to interpret dreams. But what's funny about that too is a lot of the time we try to interpret our own dreams. We if I can just say, we fuck it up. We usually need someone else. We need another brain to interpret our own personal dreams. It's weird that way.
What do you think about the American Idol dream then?
So Heather had a dream about me and her last night being American Idol judges. And I think that is so absolutely preposterous because I am not a judge of people. I don't judge people.
But in the dream, we weren't judging. Everybody just wanted to hear what we had to say. I think it was a prelude to doing this video.
Well, then that's not preposterous. That's positively awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really had something on the point you both have just raised about. I like to say entheogens. I don't like to say drugs because, to me, drug it carries this connotation of it's a poison. So to me, alcohol will be a drug because it is actually a poison, but it also alters your state of consciousness. Whereas entheogens, the majority of them are not going to be poisonous except in extreme doses, especially when you're talking about psilocybin mushrooms, which you can literally eat your body weight and only have a 50-50 chance of dying. All right.
Mushrooms,
yeah. And the DMT within those, so the interesting thing is that your brain produces DMT, and actually learned a breathing technique called holotropic breathing from Wim Hof. And that stimulates the DMT release experience.
I'm very interested in that.
I would love to go into it, not tonight, but we will go into it here soon.
All right.
But what I've learned is that the deal with the entheogens, like the Toltec shamans, where I first got my understanding of entheogens. My first hallucinogenic experience was out in the desert where I had gone out as a teenager and found my own peyote, and I ate way too much. And it was a really messed up experience in a lot of ways. But it also helped me the entheogens do something for those of us that are so logic-oriented, programmed, and closed-minded. And it's not that I wanted to be. I was a naturally open and inquisitive kid, but I grew up in the South in the 80s, where if you looked funny, you'd get beat up.
Yeah.
So when I found that peyote, it stretched my mind in a way that it was never going to go back to its old shape. But it was much like when you get on a roller coaster, it's only going to be that same trip every time you go. Now, you might see different things because maybe the scenery's changed or shifted. But it's basically like a rail car, and it's taken me to a space so that I know how to get there. But I think you're on the money when you said you do not need them. You can use your own meditation practice to navigate yourself back to that space. And honestly, you don't need the entheogen to ever get there. It's only when your trauma or your baggage prevents you from entering that meditation space. But you brought up 432 hertz, which is actually the culmination of this ginormous bit of message I'm throwing out there, which is that I began my experimentation with brainwave entrainment back in 2001. And I started making my own binaural tones, and then I started making isochronic tones. And there's a lot that can be done there because they can simulate the exact same frequencies that your brain is going to hit on the entheogen without the use of the entheogen. And so you can prolong the different stages where you want to be. And honestly, that's the left-handed or the left brain. Is it left brain? That's the analog. I'm confused right now. But that logical brain's way to do meditation. And it works.
Yeah, that would be the left brain.
Thank you. Because I could not remember which one was correct on that one. But the right brain is the one that makes pretty art, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I got completely thrown off there. Heather keeps popping up and she's really gorgeous, so I just lost my train of thought here. Okay, so yeah, damn it, there she is again. Hey, she's so beautiful. So yeah, like when I was younger, and even around that time, 2000, 2006, and between that time, me and a friend of mine would do rituals every 4 times a year, every year. At the solstices and equinoxes, we would stay awake for about 5 to 7 days and do copious amounts of drugs because we wanted to be creative and we wanted to lose our minds and make stuff and whatever. And we would listen to Tool and pretty much anything Maynard did, and or Nine Inch Nails, especially. We would put films to like those specific bands because the layers and the layers and the layers of magic that are in each of their songs, it's just, it takes you somewhere. You know, if you listen to Tool, chances are you're going to be a very spiritual person. And I stayed away from hippie music that whole time because I'm like, no, man, Tool takes me there. I can go there with Tool and fucking cocaine and and man,
Those would agree.
So I was right and I was wrong because just without doing drugs, the lights off, 432 hertz playing on my phone inside of a pot so that the sound gets loud, with the lavender burning in the bath is just, I've made more sense of my experiences like that doing that than I ever have listening to 10,000 Days on a whole bunch of ecstasy and acid. So there is a magic to the Hertz music. There's a specific set of numbers. I know it's not just 432. There's like five something or other.
Let's see. It's was it
720 hertz or something?
Yeah.
586 something.
586.
That's great.
Yeah, I've experimented with a couple of them, but 432, when I listen to specifically monk chanting Om to 432 hertz, so Om, like over and over again with the bell, oh man, how would I ever describe that to a human being?
I bet anything we listen to the same one. I bet anything, because I was just listening to that right before the show.
Probably.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Like I've climbed over planets. I've gone into vortexes. I've been a black hole. I was a black hole at one point, sucking up a sun to that bloody music in the bath by myself. Anyways.
I love that you said vortex because you both just mentioned you were mentioning the music, and then Heather said, "Well, I was just I bet we were listening to the same one because I was listening to that right before the show," and that made me think of what I was listening to on my way back to the house so I could get ready to go live, which was an alien being channeled through a person. It was Abraham Hicks, who's always talking about getting in the vortex, which just a funny little connection. That's interesting.
Cool.
I love listening to channels. I don't really accept anything anyone ever tells me, but I really love listening to them as, to see other people's experience, because I like to think that there's one source, right? And that it multiplied itself infinitely. And some of those infinite pieces are what we would call, from this perspective, higher evolved beings, aliens, angels, ascended masters, and the sort. And I like hearing the different perspectives that flows through when other people talk about it. Because for me, I spent a lot of time trying to secularize the interactions I was having so that I wasn't looking at it from a religious viewpoint. And in the last, couple of years, especially, I see archangels on a regular basis, and not just them, the 20-foot tall white lion that speaks to me in my dreams, and a few others.
Demobius.
I am positive of it, and that's why I think I was drawn to befriend you, honestly.
Thank you. Yeah. Demobius showed up, and in my first major meditation, showed up, and fuck, I can't even. That's another one that that would be a whole episode on its own to talk about Demobius.
I will definitely try to schedule you back in for that.
Yeah. But yeah, that's awesome, my brother. That's really cool. And I'm actually really happy that you do things like this kind of chat, this live chat, this sort of thing. It's one thing to make live videos on Facebook and whatnot and what have you, but to do something like this specifically, this is really good of you, man. I'm glad that you're spreading it this way, and I'm actually very happy to be a part of it. And I'm glad that we have such a babe with us too. That helps. That attracts more people. It's because she's such a babe, so she gets people in. Heather, what do you think?
Well, I was thinking about how we kind of got off the subject when we were talking about drugs and theogens. But I found a way to kind of veer it back into the subject of aliens. Mm-hmm. And I had this thought that what if psilocybin is actually these little extraterrestrials that just traveled to our Earth and was waiting for somebody to ingest them so they could share their knowledge.
The alien probe theory on the origin of psilocybin. I have heard a few variations of it, and I love every single one because it feels most true to me. I mean, there's nothing else like it on the planet genetically. There really isn't.
Psilocybin?
Yeah.
Mushrooms?
Yeah, that specific one. There's nothing actually like that one. That's what I love about it. Is it's the only one that we know for sure it is the safest thing on the planet that you can take and will make you hallucinate. And I love the other theory that usually comes along with that is the stoned ape theory that McKenna talked about. And I think that talking about the drugs is if we focus on that, yes, but it is a little bit off topic. But I believe the point that we meant to make but forgot to was that McKenna makes this really strong point about it doesn't matter who the person is. You can take people from one side of the world and another, give them the same relative dose of psilocybin, to get to a mystical experience, and they're going to describe the same archetypal structures that are occurring within their own consciousnesses from different sides of the world with no way to communicate. So something's going on there. Now,
so that's an alien language. It's an alien language is what you're getting at, really is.
It seems like it to me, or at least it's an alien communication system that tunes us into them.
Hmm.
Though Nassim Harriman believes that it's all scalar, and so like these aliens are actually at a smaller scale of reality than we are because they're more densely packed energy. And so he says that, you know, when we start seeing all that stuff, what we're doing is we're shrinking our consciousness, our perspective down to that scale of reality where they're hiding at. And it's not that they're really hiding, they're just slightly different space than us, because who they are and how far they've evolved is they're no longer stuck in a physical form like this.
Completely. I just so completely love talking about this sort of thing. I mean, we're in an infinite universe, infinite possibilities. Just try to imagine this. And this is what I love to do all the time, is imagine infinity and what can be possible. We are creator gods. We're stepping into our god or goddess. We are going to be able to manipulate matter. We already do. We walk through time and space. We change dimensions every time we step our foot. Everything. It's just sit there and just try to imagine, because anything is possible. Anything. And that's for the world to know. Just anything is possible. Dream huge. Dream big. Wow. Just have to say that.
Yeah, you pretty much just said it all. That's it. For sure.
That's all. And that's all,
good night, folks. Good night. Tip your waitress.
But before we get there, I did want to ask you guys a question about. So we kind of talked pretty heavily on the aliens, right? I had a theory that I think that these entities, you know, you had described these different therianthrope shapes, you know, the raptor man and the warthog man, right?
Yeah.
And I had wondered if it's not whatever specific vibration our own consciousness is at, you know, all those memories that we have from this particular experience. What if that colors or textures in these energy beings into a conceptual context that we can work with? And so what if their forms even are a projection from within us, because what they are is beyond physical form?
You're materializing with thought. Thought is so powerful. That's what you're doing to create this thought or idea into your reality, into a vibrational frequency that yours allows. It's easier to explain this telepathically, so there you go. I completely understand what you're saying there.
Okay, so my question there is, the ascended masters or the archangels, or, you know, the gods of the Hindu pantheon, or, you know, Ahura Mazda of the Zoroastrians, or any of the, you know, other gods and entities, all these things could be these energy, you know, past physical expression experience beings. And in the form that we see them in is just based on where we're at in our own growth, right? So at that point, I think that it's very possible that what I see as Archangel Michael, when he shows up, could just as easily be seen as, you know, a gray alien to someone else. Maybe not the gray alien, but, you know, maybe a Nordic, but, you know.
I know what you're saying.
Do you think that that may be the case, or do you think that each one of these things is actual separate things, and they're choosing?
Both.
I like it. I like it because it would have to be, wouldn't it? If we're all beings and we each co-create our reality, then would have to be an agreement.
Yeah.
Between the perceiver and the perceived.
Yep.
Well, it has to do with our culture and how we grow up and what we're used to seeing, what we grow up with, what gets mapped onto our brain from it starting at a young age. Of course, we're going to go there, and it's something that we share. It's the way we communicate. It's fundamental. It's fundamental. But now we're expanding our minds, and we are creating, and we're waking up. Now we can see the however we want to see. As long as we open up our hearts and our minds, we can see anything. Because especially the extraterrestrials, they can't show themselves to you if you're afraid. They can't. So they just wait. They sit and wait, and they just telepathically speak with you, and whether you know it or not, and they get to know what you're comfortable with, so they could, and you agreed, like, okay, I'm ready to see you. Like I was talking to my angel, I said, I'm ready to see you guys now. And I started seeing them in little orbs shooting across the sky, look like little sparkles. It's like, oh, okay, I can do this. This isn't alarming, and I'm ready to open up my heart and my mind a bit more. So I'm willing to, I'm actually really looking forward to seeing what else I could see. And I promised them that I wouldn't go and be like, hey, Mom, do you see that over there? Like, I'm going crazy. I promised them I wouldn't do that. I would sit humbly, not point them out.
Yeah, one of the most powerful things that we can do while we're alive is share an experience with just the universe. So, because when we're sharing with the universe, we're sharing with everything else out there that is watching us that we can't see. And in the physical world, you're alone. You're alone. But that moment is for you, but you're never truly alone, so you're sharing it with the universe. Certain things that you don't even type, like, say, you saved a dog from being hit by a car or something, and instead of doing what everybody else in the world would do, you go and make a post about it, take a picture of the dog, take a video of you helping the dog and getting it better. You don't do any of that. You get it done, you help the dog, you go home, and you never talk about it again to anybody. That type of thing, that power, that is you and the universe having sex. Okay, that is, and I have had several moments like that recently, and the power that I get from that, not sharing, in itself is a meditation and a connection to a higher realm. I don't know if that was off topic. That just kind of popped in my head.
It was a perfect compliment. I was going to compliment Heather on pointing out the easiest method for everyone who might want to try this in their own meditation, which was to set the intention of I'm ready to see you. But then you follow it up with the most practical exercise people can do in their daily life to get their vibration high enough to be actually ready for these communications. Get yourself in alignment. That was perfect. It was beautiful. I honestly love working with both of you, and we're going to have to do this again.
Yeah, definitely.
This is like 2 episodes in a row. We're having to cut short, but I'm actually the only person home right now, and my dogs really need to go outside. I can hear them.
You're never really alone, man.
Which
You're
is
not
true,
actually home
but I don't.
alone.
I can say, hey, would you go check these out? They really need to take a walk. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. But I really wanted to say thank you, seriously, for this conversation today, and everything both of you have shared is.
My video broke.
Oh no! It does. Hey, you're back. Well, maybe.
Am I back?
No.
No.
It's there in the thumbnail.
It's hard to be pretty.
Hold on.
Oh,
Hold
now it's
on.
a profile
I fixed
pic.
it.
Yay!
Yeah.
So I would really like it if both of you would help me with setting an intention
Okay.
that everyone who is questioning themselves and what they're listening to finds their way to this message and takes of it what they need to find their own peace on their own path.
I'm setting that intention. And I hope that anybody who does watch this video and feels empty or small, just remember that everybody has a dragon in them. Everybody has a lion. You're never small. You're never empty. You're always full and powerful. So, for real, namaste and love. Power.
Love you so much. And also, people, I wish for them to know that there is always so many angels surrounding them. For every blade of grass, there's an angel. For every leaf, every little tiny aphid on the leaf, there's at least two for the aphids. You know, just imagine how many that you can have. It's limitless, just like this universe. Go ahead and try it. Call upon legions of angels. You could be walking down the street and just imagine a legion of angels, an army behind you, and you're just leading them. Spread your wings and fly. And they're here to support you for every single thing. And you'll know, I could feel them playing with my hair. They're like the fairies, the angels. Or pick up some oracle cards. I hope that people watching this are inspired to try something new. Like, for example, Archangel Michael, oracle cards, Doreen Virtue, if you want to look anything up. She channels different angels, Raphael, Uriel, Gabriel. It's very beautiful, Doreen Virtue. So I'll put that out there.
Cool, man. All right. Well, thank you for inviting me to the video chat. And Heather, it's always a pleasure to see your beautiful face.
I missed you.
Oh. So I guess I will sign off and say goodbye and stay classy, San Diego.